All right, level 2, I can find missing side lengths and angles using trig. So again, we're using SOHCAHTOA, so let's write that on the top of our paper. All right, so it says find each missing side length below by setting up and solving a trig equation. Round the answers to the nearest tenth, so that's 1 decimal place. So if we're looking at this triangle here, okay, I'm trying to find, I've got the angle of 60, so I'm still going to mark my opposite, hypotenuse, and adjacent from the angle that I know. So if I draw a line to the right angle, that's going to be the adjacent. Over here is going to be the hypotenuse, and the side that's not labeled is the opposite. So if I look at what I have given to me, I've got an angle of 60, I have a side length of 8, that's the adjacent side, and I have the hypotenuse, which is x. And that's what I'm trying to find. So I have a and h. The trig function that relates a and h is going to be cosine. So I'm going to say the cosine of 60 equals the adjacent side, which is 8, over the opposite side, which is x. I'm sorry, over the hypotenuse, which is x. Okay, and now what I'm going to do to solve this is put cosine 60 over 1 and cross multiply. Okay, when you cross multiply, always put this denominator, the x, in front of the cosine. So you're going to get x cosine 60 equals 8. And then we're going to divide both sides by cosine 60. So x is going to equal 8 over the cosine of 60. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to put this in our calculator. So grab your calculator or pause it and go get one. The first thing that I need you to do is I need you to go to your mode. So it's the button to the right of your second button. So your second button could either be yellow or I think it's blue on some of the calculators. So it's the one to the right. It says mode, so hit that. And then the third line down, it says radians or degrees. Make sure degrees is the one that's highlighted. Okay, so if it's not, go arrow over until it's flashing on the degrees and hit enter so it selects it. And then just hit second mode again to get out of that screen. Okay, so we've got our calculators all set up. Now what we're going to do is you're going to hit 8, and then you're going to hit divided by cosine. Cosine, if you see the 8 button, you're going to go 2 above the 8 button that says cosine, C-O-S. And then you're just going to put in 60 and close the parentheses. You should get 16 here. Okay, if you don't, let me know, flag me down, and I'll check to make sure that you're doing it right. All right, let's take a look at B. Again, we're talking about SOHCAHTOA here. The angle that I know is 33, so I'm going to draw a line to the right angle. Here's my adjacent. Hypotenuse is across from the right angle, and the opposite side is the one left over. Okay, so now I've got adjacent and I've got opposite. So what trig function deals with adjacent and opposite? And I believe that's going to be tangent. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take tangent of 33, and that's going to equal the opposite, which is x, over the adjacent, which is 15. Okay, so from here, again, we're going to cross multiply. So the 15, put the 15 in front of the tangent of 33. Don't multiply 15 by 33. That's not what this means, okay? It's not, tangent is a function that we've got to do something with the 33. It's not just a number 33. And then 1 times x. So since x is by itself in this problem, we don't have to divide anything by anything. So we can just put this in our calculator. So again, what you want to do, our calculator is all set up so we don't have to do the mode again. So we're going to hit 15 and then tangent, which is 2 buttons above the 9, and put 33 and close the parentheses. And you should get something that's 9.74, but since we're rounding to the nearest tenth, it'll just be 9.7. Okay. So that's part of level 2. Let's take a look at another example of level 2. Okay, so number 4 says, find each indicated measure, round to the nearest whole number. Okay, so if we're finding the missing angles, you must use the inverse trig function. Okay, inverse trig function. So this is sine to the negative first, cosine to the negative first, or tangent to the negative first. That's how we know what an inverse function is. Okay, so if we're looking at letter A, again, here's the angle that I need to find out. Drawing a line to the right angle is the adjacent. Across from the right angle is the hypotenuse, and the leftover side is the opposite. So looking at the sides I have, I've got 4 and I've got 8. Those are the adjacent and opposite sides. So I'm going to use tangent because I have O and A. So I'm going to set this up. So the angle that I'm looking for, now the two problems before, we knew the angle, so we would say like tangent of 33. But I don't know the angle, so I'm going to say tangent of x equals the opposite, which is 8, over the adjacent, which is 4. Okay, so from here, what I'm going to do in order to solve for x, now like I said before, you can't just divide by tangent, because tangent is really a number. You need to take tangent of a number to actually get an answer out of it. So I'm not going to divide by tangent because that won't do us anything. What we're going to do to solve this, we're going to take the inverse tangent of 8 over 4. And that's going to give us this angle measurement. So how you do this in your calculator, okay, you see 2 buttons above the 9, you have tangent, T-A-N, that's what we used before. And then in a different color letter, either in yellow or in blue, depending on your calculator, you'll see tan to the negative first. Okay, that's what you need to do. So whatever color you're in, you're going to have to press your second button. So if your letters are yellow, you're going to put your second button is yellow. And if your tangent to the negative first buttons are blue, your second button is blue, just depending on your calculator. So hit your second button and then hit tan. And you should see on your calculator tan to the negative first with the parentheses. Okay, so you've got that going on, and now you're just going to take 8 divided by 4 in those parentheses and go ahead and close those out. And you should get x to equal 63.434. And let's take a look at our rounding directions here. It says to the nearest whole number. So this 4 is going to keep this 3 the same. So x, we're saying it is going to be 63 degrees. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and move on to B. All right, we've got another example here. So the angle x that we're looking at, here is the adjacent, here's the hypotenuse, and here's the opposite. So we've got A and H. That's going to be cosine. So I'm going to say cosine of the angle, which is x, equals the adjacent, or 7, over the hypotenuse. So we're going to use inverse cosine of 7 over 19. And that's going to equal x. So again, you've got your cosine button, 2 buttons above the 8. Go ahead and hit second cosine and do 7 divided by 19. And you should get 68.3817 and many numbers after that. But since it's to the nearest whole number, this 3 again is going to keep the 8 the same. So your answer is going to be 68 degrees. Okay, so anytime you're looking for a angle measurement, you're going to use the inverse cosine or inverse sine or inverse tangent. You're going to use the inverse function. If you're looking for a side, you're just going to use the regular old function. Okay. We're going to go. And then the last one, number 5. Number 5 is going to be a little bit different. We just wanted to show you this because it will come up on the ACT, but the answers will typically be in exact form like you see the answers here. But I'm going to show you how you can still do the problem without getting it in exact form. So let's go ahead and turn the answer choices A, B, C, D into decimals. So A, we're good. B, we're going to just put 4 square root 3 into our calculator and get 6.928. Same thing for C, 4 root 2. We'll get 5.6568. And then the square root of 3 is 1.7321. Okay, so there we've got them in decimal form, and now we're just going to do the same thing that we've been doing to find the length of BC. So here's BC down at the bottom, and we'll label that as X. And then since I know both angles, A and C, it doesn't matter which one you take from. So I'm just going to take from C and draw my line to the right angle. So here's my adjacent, opposite, and hypotenuse. So what I have here is the hypotenuse and the adjacent, and then I can do, that would be cosine. So cosine of 30 equals X over 8. And then I'm going to cross multiply. So 8 cosine of 30 equals X. So then I'm putting my calculator, 8 times cosine 30, and I'll get 6.9282, which is exactly what letter B says. So B would be our answer there. So like I said, there is a way that you can do this without changing it into a decimal, and we're going to learn that probably in a couple weeks, but this will come up on the ACT, so you can always, and this is a great strategy, you can always change your answers into decimals if you're unsure how to get the exact answer. So that is a really good strategy to know and to use as you're going through the test.